More to Marketing.
Welcome to More to Marketing, the podcast that explores marketing, product, and everything business. I'm your host, Susan Walsh, and today we're going to be talking about design thinking. We're going to explore what it is, why it matters, and how it's actually revolutionizing advertising and marketing. And we're going to have a couple of examples too. But first off, okay, everyone, what is design thinking? Design thinking is a people-centric approach to innovation. So people first, about your customers, whoever's utilizing your product or service. It's not just a process or a set of steps. It's a mindset that puts human needs, empathy, and creativity at the heart of problem solving. Now, it was originally rooted in things like design and engineering, but it's now become a driving force in business, product development, and also increasingly in marketing, which naturally makes sense. Now, the core of design thinking is pretty simple. Start with the customer. Instead of relying on assumption or historic data alone, marketers and designers immerse themselves in the lives, challenges, and desires of real people. They use empathy, rapid prototyping, and iteration to create solutions that genuinely resonate. Now, the design thinking process, pretty simple, 5 steps. There's variations, but this is the typical way that most of them do operate. So number 1 is the empathy. So empathize. Deeply understand your audience's needs, pain points, and motivations. 2, define. Clearly articulate the problem from the user's perspective. Now, user's perspective, not business there. Ideate. So do heaps of brainstorms in step 3. Brainstorm a wide range of creative solutions. See what new ideas you can come up with from different perspectives. 4, prototype. So build quick if you can. Utilize that ability. Learn and do some low-cost versions to test the idea before you go full force if you're able to do that. 5, gather feedback. So get people to come in and have a go at it. Learn from that, get that feedback, and then iterate. So this approach is non-linear. So your teams can often loop back at earlier stages to get new insights and to really make it all emerge. Now, design thinking has changed marketing because it's really honing in on that human-centricness for the campaigns. So marketers have used it to be able to broadcast messages in a way that makes more sense to more people. Because marketing was traditionally used to be about broadcasting messages and hoping that they'll just stick. With this design thinking, it's actually about listening first, then crafting the campaign that speaks directly to people's needs and emotions. So those emotional pulls. Empathy mapping can help with this. So marketers use tools like personas and empathy maps to understand their audiences at those deeper levels, thinking about content through to being the channel selected itself. Now, the other thing that it helps with is the storytelling itself. Campaigns are now built around authentic stories. And these authentic stories actually reflect real customer experiences, not just product features. Now, another thing that design thinking helps for marketing and how it's changed it is the cross-functional collaboration. Design thinking now has broken down so many silos, particularly those between marketing, product sales, and even finance. And now they're more likely to collaborate to ensure solutions are viable, desirable, and feasible. Now, with all these changes, it also means that marketing is changing because it's now looking at doing rapid experimentation and iterations. Instead of launching a massive campaign and hoping for the best, brands now test ideas quickly, learn from the feedback. This now really means that the risk is reduced on cost versus return when you're doing these iterations for success. So you're increasing your odds of success. Now, it's also helped with enhancing the customer experience itself. So by having marketers involved in things like the product development, they're actually focusing on the entire customer journey, and brands are creating more seamless, engaging experiences from the first touch to the actual final post-purchase as well. Now, if I'm thinking of examples to share, one of the ones I think is really magical and it still resonates even now, and it's something that they continually keep pulling out of their back pocket, and that is Coca-Cola Share a Coke campaign. So instead of having the classic can or bottle of Coke with the Coke logo on it, and they've replaced their name, which is amazing, with people's names. So it could be a Susan can or Muhammad or even things like April, March, or best friend or father of the bride, all these different things, because what they're trying to build is Coke has already got its legacy of its color. Everyone associates the red and black with Coke. But now it doesn't need to sit on and have that giant logo there. It's already synonymous for those colors in those contexts. So why not now invite people to share a Coke, which is why the campaign's called Share a Coke, with friends and loved ones. Now, what they did here was they put design thinking to use. Coca-Cola emphasized and really empathized as well with the consumer's desire for that personal recognition. The campaign was built around user centricity. Sorry, guys, can't say that one. Finding your name on a bottle was a delight, a real surprise and delight if you saw it there or your mates there or whatever it was. And you'd want to share that because you're like, oh, wow, their name is there. This is new. This is fresh. Even though it's been repeated over and over again, people are still excited about it. It's encouraged that co-creation as people have now shared photos, stories, and really amplified the reach of a simple Coke can. Now, the campaign was iterated and localized for different cultures and languages. Now, some results: 870% increase in Facebook traffic, 12 million media impressions, and a significant boost in sales as well. Now, another great example out there of utilizing design thinking and bringing it to life is Airbnb. So they actually did a user-centric pivot. Now, the challenge they had was early on, Airbnb actually struggled with low bookings and trust issues because, it seemed a bit creepy going to people's houses when they weren't there. So how could they overcome this? So the design thinking in action was the founders immersed themselves in the user experience. So they actually stayed at people's homes that were the hosts, taking professional photos, speaking with both the hosts and the guests. Now, this empathy-driven approach revealed that poor photo quality and lack of transparency were both key barriers for trust and building more sales. So what they did was they redesigned the platform and improved listings. Airbnb doubled its revenue in 1 week and set the stage for that exponential growth we've all seen. Now, another interesting take on how design thinking has changed a product is Oral-B's toothbrush redesign. Now, the challenge that they had was the company wanted to add more features to an electric toothbrush. Now, how many features can you give one, honestly? So what they did, what are people actually going to use? So design thinking in action here, designers realized that users didn't want more complexity. They wanted it simpler, less stressful experience to brush their teeth. So the solution was to improve the user interface and experience, not just about adding features. So the outcome here was a more user-friendly product and higher customer satisfaction. But these are some great examples of when it works, but there's also times when design thinking goes wrong. So it's always important to understand that design thinking may or may not drive success depending on your product, and it's not a silver bullet, but it can help. But here are some of the common pitfalls. So one could be an overemphasis on ideation and not actually doing the execution. Organizations get stuck brainstorming over and over again and prototyping, but never actually implement a real change. Now, without integrating design thinking with business strategy, those great ideas can really fizzle out. Another thing that can happen is a lack of true empathy. So if teams don't genuinely engage with the users, they risk making surface level changes that miss the mark. Like, for example, there was a really famous Pepsi ad which had Kendall Jenner, and they tried to tap into social movements, but failed to authentically understand the audience. And it had a backlash and actually had to pull that campaign. Ignoring cultural context or timing can also be a pitfall. Airbnb's Floating World campaign, launched during Hurricane Harvey, featuring floating homes with the tagline, "Stay above water." Timing was tone deaf and led to major criticism. Another one to be mindful as well is buzzwords. Some companies adopt the language of design thinking without actually changing their processes or culture. This leads to the disillusionment and erodes trust. And it seems and really can struggle, and it just really does undermine the idea of design thinking when you're trying to create that new success. So what I want to end with here is design thinking can be amazing. It's about focusing on empathy and having that as the foundation. Start by truly understanding your audience. Iterate and test. Don't be afraid to experiment and learn from failure. Collaboration is crucial. Break down those in silos and involve diverse teams. And execution matters. Great ideas only matter if they're actually implemented well and align with the business strategy. And of course, stay authentic. Avoid surface level solutions or trend chasing without real insight. Your consumers will see it. Design thinking has fundamentally changed advertising and marketing by putting people, not products, at the center. It's led to some of the most innovative, engaging, and successful campaigns of our time, but it's not foolproof. It requires commitment, humility, and also a willingness to learn from both users and mistakes. Thank you for listening to this episode on More to Marketing. Don't forget to share and follow for more episodes in the future.
More to Marketing.